Good day, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Blacklogic. This is one of those topics that you sit back and you wait for things to unfold.
Okay.
Because there's a war happening inside the American right, the conservative party. Not the only that they show on Fox News, but the one behind the microphones where prophets of patriotism become preachers of profit, where truth tellers turn into grifters and the movement that claims to save America starts selling it off in pieces. So we're going to really talk about the implosion that is happening within the conservative party, the fracture between the woke right, those performative anti-woke crusaders cashing checks off outrage, and the old MAGA base still chasing a ghost of rebellion that was never really that real.
That's messed up.
Because beneath all the merch, hashtags, and fake populism, what we're really watching is the collapse of conservative credibility. It started as a movement, now it's a ministry. The woke right became its own religion, its doctrine, its contradiction, its currency, its conflict. Tucker Carlson interviewed a self-proclaimed Team Hitler white nationalist and calls it free speech. Candace Owens sells conspiracies between ad reads for detox pills and gold coins. When I look at this, this all just falls in line with the conservative party. Dinesh condemns fascism while promoting gold sales to protect yourself from tyranny. The right that once preached moral clarity now survives on moral chaos. As Dinesh admitted in his own words, this isn't a wave of conviction, it's a performance art. Nick Fuentes isn't a Nazi, he said. He's a Nazi poser, a performance for clicks, a costume for delusioned young men who confuse irony for ideology. It's the new American Grift, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Pretend to resist tyranny while selling subscriptions to it. They're all making the bag off of all the things they're trying to sell to the American people while giving their own rhetoric. Let's talk about receipts. Because in 2024, Pew Research found that 38% of conservative men under the age of 35 supported a return to pre-1965 cultural order. And in translation, Jim Crow nostalgia rebranded as tradition. Those numbers spiked directly after Tucker Carlson's online show went independent. Then came the collapse. Candace Owens' Daily Wire fallout, her conspiracy-laced rants about globalist Jews, and her public implosion with the very people who funded her. Think about it. Turning Point USA, Daily Wire, and all other places she's been to, PragerU. When they couldn't sell owning the libs anymore, they turned to questioning Israel. All of them seems to be, with the exception of Brandon Tatum, or some people call him Tatum. But they did all of this to defending Sharia, to sympathizing with fascists, not because they believe in any of it, because it kept engaging high view count. This isn't ideology, it's algorithm. It's the addiction of the algorithm, and the woke right is its loudest dealer. Now, here's the irony. The people who call liberals snowflakes now cry censorship every time they fact check. Because at first, this whole dial back, oh, let's counsel free speech and let's not talk about this and let's not talk about that. Now they're the ones who are crying foul, the ones who scream fake news, now run entire networks built on clickbait and emotional manipulation. They're doing whole segments about Charlie Kirk and not really caring, in my opinion, what the death was truly about. They mocked safe spaces, did they not? And built echo chambers bigger than college campuses. They mocked cancel culture and now cancel their own whenever anyone questions Trump, Israel, or even January 6th. They became what they claim to hate. That's not politics, that's pathology. They want to now bring back cancel culture because people are now looking at their wokeism.
Let's talk about that.
The woke right doesn't want freedom. It wants followers. It wants you to click, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, give them a thumbs up. And matter of fact, while you're doing it, go ahead and subscribe to Blacklogic, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell as well. It doesn't want truth. It doesn't want the truth. It wants traffic. It's a content farm disguised as a crusade. Now, the MAGA machine is eating itself up right now. When we talk about the likes of Dinesh, Brandon Tatum, Charlie Kirk, they're not debating policy anymore. They're debating who's still pure, and they're using the foundation of Israel and Charlie Kirk to do it. Now, D'Souza leaked text from Charlie Kirk. Kirk distanced himself from Fuentes. Tatum went live to condemn the cult energy. Meanwhile, the same audiences that cheered Trump's America First slogan are now split between defending Hitler and Hitler memes or denouncing Israel. The movement that once shouted, "Make America Great Again," can't even make sense of itself. Everybody's so confused on the right. I don't know if I'm MAGA, if I'm woke right, or MAGA versus MAGA, because when you build a coalition on resentment instead of principle, you can't sustain unity. You can't sustain unity when you build it upon shaky ground. Resentment doesn't unite. It feeds until there's nothing left to consume by itself. MAGA has become a bonfire of contradiction, burning its own creators from one or more viral moments. This is where the grift gets industrial. Every outrage cycle is a revenue stream. Every cultural war doubles as an affiliate ad campaign.
Yeah.
Look closely and you'll see the same sponsor come across every truth teller show. Gold Code, Patriot Mobile, Emergency Food, Buckets, Brain Supplements, Ranch Meat, whatever it may be. It's a self-contained ecosystem. Fear as fuel, profit as proof. The more chaos, the more cash. The more division, the more donation. The Federal Trade Commission has even documented deceptive sponsors and sponsorships among political influence. While Columbia Journalism Review calls it the codification of apocalypse. That's what they're basically labeling it as. They're not fighting for America. They're fighting for ad revenue. And the people are the ones who are paying the price.
Lordy, that would be really bad.
We're the ones clicking and donating and believing. Thank you for chiming in on my Cash App. Thank you for giving me smiley faces and hearts and all these things. We're just cashing in on the deceptive rhetoric from the woke right and the quote unquote MAGA and MAGA versus MAGA.
I just told him I've got to come over and see the fake news. Let's go.
That's what we're really talking about. Because here's the part they never really talk about, because it exposes the entire con.
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about.
They are literally conning the American people. When foundational Black Americans bring up reparation, the same woke right screams handouts. But history shows they got there first through white welfare, government grants, and laws that built the middle class on Black exclusion. When I look at 1866, the Compensated Emancipation Act, that slave owners paid up to $300 per enslaved person. Homestead Act, 270 million acres of indigenous land to white settlers. 1944, the GI Bill, 98% of home loans went to white veterans. 1930 to 1960, FHA redlining, federal home program explicitly denied Black applicants. 1924, Immigration Act, locked immigration quotas to favor white Europeans and suppress others. See, these policies created generational white welfare, trillions in value. But when we bring up repair, restitution, suddenly government aid becomes socialism.
It was all bullshit.
Shout out to Zoran Modawi, New York City new mayor. That's not conservatism, ladies and gentlemen. That's amnesia with a trust fund. So when D'Souza and Tatum talk about personal responsibility, remind them that white America's wealth was socialized long before Black Americans asked for equity. And they know this. Somehow they're truly absent-minded. Maybe they have select amnesia, no less. They inherited the handouts. We inherited the bill. See, Emma Goldman once said that every empire eventually drifts beyond the pale, beyond its moral limits, into the wilderness of its own hypocrisy. That's exactly where the American right now stands, ladies and gentlemen. The woke right sold rebellion as a brand. The MAGA base mistook emotions for empowerment. And the architects of it all, the Tuckers, the Candaces, the D'Souzas, built careers not on truth, but on tension between the lines. This is what happens when you build a political religion without repentance, a movement without memory, and a faith without fact. The right that once promised to save America has been absorbed by the same performative outrage culture it actually marked. See, the left weaponized identity. right? With all the LGBTQ and all these different sorts of groups, non-binary, they weaponize the identity.
That is so gross.
The right weaponized ignorance. And now both are collapsing under the weight of their contradictions. But the difference is the right monetize it in its own decay. And they're making big money from it. Let me tell you, that Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, the last time I checked, the view count was 5.5 million people. And I can only imagine the bag that Tucker's getting. I'm not pocket watching, but I'm watching. Tucker's audience shrinks. Candace is sidelined. The Sousa's relevance depends on a new conspiracy every quarter. Brandon Tatum, they fight over the same disillusioned youth who now flirt with fascism because irony made it cool. But there's no irony in ignorance. There's no humor in hate. There's no redemption in propaganda. So where does that leave us? With a truth bigger than politics. The American right didn't just lose its way, it lost its why. It really lost its why. Why are we doing this? We don't see how it's benefiting us. We have people like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. I thought Tucker Carlson was MAGA, but now he's coinciding with a known white supremacist like Nick Fuentes. I mean, where's the divide? Where are we going to join?
May I join you?
All these people are looking for equal footing, and nothing on the right has ever been equal. You can't lead a nation when your faith is for sale. We talk about white Christian nationalism that's mostly on the right. People don't want to talk about inclusion. They rather talk about exclusion. And Nick Fuentes is the right person to do this, ladies and gentlemen. He's the right one that should have been platformed a long time ago. So this rift could have happened years ago. See, you can't preach patriotism while silencing history. You can't sell truth when you're allergic to evidence. And you can't call yourself America first when your whole damn movement is built on foreign fascist rhetoric dressed in red, white, and blue. You just can't do it. This is great. Unraveling where every grifter meets gravity and every movement built on myth meets math. Because in the end, receipts don't lie, history remembers, and the truth doesn't need permission to return. So you already know, ladies and gentlemen, how I am when I do this. You already know. This is Blacklogic, where we strip the noise from the narrative and we expose what power would rather you forget.
So don't mess with me.